Yesterday around 10 a.m. my bodyguard started complaining bitterly about his stomach pain. So we tried to do some minor medication at home, but it was getting bad. So we had to rush him to the nearest clinic, that is the Obojo Polyclinic.
Sophia Karen Akuako is the Member of Parliament for Domeabra Obom in the Greater Accra region. Her bodyguard complained of severe stomach pains and needed urgent medical attention. Her best option was the police hospital, but it appears she made a misjudgment. She was greeted with the infamous no bed refrain.
The doctor said it was beyond their control, so we have to go to Rage Hospital. So I told the doctor that because he's a police officer, I thought it wise that we can come to police hospital. So quickly we brought him to the police hospital. When we got here, there were so many people at the OPD. People were lying on the floor, people were lying on stretchers, people were lying on chairs. And he was on the floor, rolling, crying. And I was expecting the nurses to make some effort of treating him as an emergency case. But nothing was being done.
She was just about to be treated like any other case until she gave away her identity and that of her bodyguard.
After about 45 minutes, I got angry and I asked them that, so don't they have any emergency? Then one of the nurses asked me, is he a police officer? I said, yes, he's a police officer, he's my bodyguard. Then he said, okay, there's a room there, so he can go and lie down. So they directed us to a room that is having about 3 beds. So he went to lie on one. And so we were there. He was still crying, complaining about his stomach. So I asked that, isn't there any doctor who will at least attend to him to know what is going on?
Did he get a bed to sleep on?
Yes, when he said that he was a police officer, then they sent us to a room that has 3 empty beds, which means that that was reserved for the police officers. So we were directed and he was there. So after I complained and I made a lot of noise, then they went in to talk to the doctor that there's an emergency. It even took us about 1.5 hours to 2 hours before the doctor called us in. When we went, they examined him and then they asked him to go and lie down. When he went to lie down, the nurses went around and they said we should have a lab test. And look at what the nurse told me. She said, why would they call there? If you send it yourself, they'll hurry up with it. So,
you were an MP?
At that point, I told them he was my bodyguard. But I'm a member of parliament, and this is my bodyguard who is suffering. Before they got up to lead us to a place. So, after taking the blood sample, then he told me that, why would they call? Madam, if you take it yourself, it will be easier for you. Other than that, you have to wait for another 3 or 4 hours. I said, right, okay, let me go. So imagine how many innocent people who doesn't have a title, who doesn't have a voice, who goes to the hospital and are met with all these kind of things. I mean, it's unfortunate.
She knew she would get the needed attention at all cost, but the events that followed worsened her state of despair.
When I came out of the OPD, I was expecting to see some direction. Maybe an arrow showing that when you go this way, it is taking you to the lab. But there was no direction. So I remember she said, Bisobia. So I asked a lady that I met on the way. She said, what do you say? Then I said, saying. I saw a door open. I went through and then I went all around. Then I came back again. I didn't know where to pass. So I turned into a cave. When I turned into the cave and I was going, at the cave when I was going, then I met one young man. I said, young man, can you help me? Please, I'm going to the lab. He said, you just go straight. Follow where you are going. I went all the way to the end. When I went all the way to the end, before I got to the end of the tunnel that I was walking through, I realized that the place was so dark. There was no light. There was a tent put at a place. There was a shed with a big tree. And the door was locked. There was no light anywhere. So I saw a light ahead of me. That was a bit far. So I was thinking that maybe that could be the lab because that was where the light was. I went there, I didn't see anybody. All the doors were closed. Then I looked on my left and then I realized that there was another light showing somewhere. So I walked there. When I knocked on the door, somebody came out and said, Madam, open them. Let me call the person. Open them. What are you looking for? I said, I'm going to the lab. He said, this is the mortuary. This is the mortuary. So where is the lab? He said, that is directly behind us where you are coming from. I said, there's no light, there's nobody. He said, knock on the door, somebody will open.
The MP later found the laboratory.
Then I came back and then I knocked on the door. Lo and behold, somebody opened the door. I said, this place is so scary. So why did you close the door? Why did you lock the door? This is my first time coming here. How would I know? There's no direction that is showing that this is going to the lab. I got there, I didn't see anything because the whole place was so dark. Then he asked me that, Madam, you said it's scary. Yes, it's scary, so I cannot be inside and leave the door open because I don't know who will come in to attack me. That's why I locked it. So when you knock, then I can open it for you.
Thanks to God, the Domeabra Obom MP, Sophia Karen Akwaku's bodyguard, is currently responding to treatment. She is not only complaining about her ordeal at the police hospital in Accra, but she's helping resolve some of the problems she encountered.
When I went in, I told the gentleman that, okay, what I'm going to do is that tomorrow evening, I'll come here and then I'll come and change your 2 street lights for you. I'll come and change them because I noticed that there were 2 poles that have been off. So it's just about changing the lights. So I'll come and change. He said, oh, madam, I'll be very grateful. Come and do it for us.